Okay, so let's talk about, let's read Act 1, second half of Act 1, Scene 1. So just as we're starting, once again, remember, these are our annotations. We're going to highlight in light blue the most famous or beautiful lines. We're going to highlight in orange important plot lines, which we're going to do a lot more this time. And underline blue important words and notes in the margins. So we ended off right after the prince showed up and told everybody to get out of here and said, if you ever fight again, Capulet and Montague, I'm going to kill you. All right. So everybody leaves, exit all but Montague, Lady Montague, and Benvolio. So here we go. Who set this quarrel new abroach? Speak, nephew. Were you by when it began? Here were the servants of your adversary, and yours close fighting ere I did approach. I drew to part them. In the instant came the fiery Tybalt with his sword prepared, which as he breathed defiance to my ears, he swung about his head and cut the winds, who nothing hurt withal hissed him in scorn. While we were interchanging thrusts and blows, came more and fought on part and part, till the prince came, who parted either part. So he tells us the story, right? He tells Montague and Lady Montague the story. And it's interesting. So let's underline the word fiery, right? And it's interesting that he talks about fiery, right? And let's just go ahead and make our brainstorm for fiery. So let's brainstorm fiery. When I think fiery, go ahead and take a pause before I do it. Pause it, and you go ahead and do your own brainstorm, and then we'll come back together. Did you brainstorm? Really? Okay. Let's brainstorm now. When I think fiery, I think hot. I think fast. I think like if somebody's fiery, they're angry. I think fiery, like they are upset, right? If you're fiery, maybe you're upset. And then all those things could be ascribed to Tybalt when he came in. But then, like Benvolio makes the story sound like Tybalt is this god that shows up and he's cutting the winds and nothing can hurt him. And he's like flipping all over the place, ninja skills. It's interesting the way he describes Tybalt. So then, Lady Montague, oh, where is Romeo? Saw you him today? Right glad I am he was not at this fray. Madam, an hour before the worshipped sun peered forth the golden window of the east, a troubled mind. I'm sorry, we forgot. We have to highlight. So we need to highlight this line in blue because that's one of those really famous lines. Dang it, I underlined it. All right, so here we go again. One more time. Here we go. Underlining in blue. There we are. Now it's underlined in blue. So now we'll go Benvolio. Madam, an hour before the worshipped sun peered forth the golden window of the east. A troubled mind drave me to walk abroad, where under the grove of sycamore that westward rooteth from the city's side, so early walking did I see your son. Towards him I made, but he was awary of me, and stole into the covert of the wood. I, measuring his affections by my own, that most are busied when they are most alone, pursued my humor, not pursuing him, and gladly shunned, who gladly fled from me. Now this is interesting because Benvolio has seen Romeo today, but it's an interesting story. So the story is this. An hour before the worship sun, right? That means an hour before dawn, an hour before the sun rises. He couldn't sleep. He had a troubled mind, right? And he says, I'm going to get up, I'm going to go take a walk, and I'm going to feel better. He went to the grove of trees, a grove of sycamore. And as he's walking, he sees Romeo off in the distance. Oh, there's Romeo. He's over there. And Romeo sees him. But when Romeo sees him, he runs away from Benvolio. He says, ah, and he runs. And Benvolio goes, why are you doing that, Romeo? And he's like, I don't care. I'm not going to worry about it. If he wants to be by himself, he wants to be by himself. I'm not going to follow him. So Montague then says he's seen this before with Romeo. Many a morning hath he there been seen with tears, augmenting the fresh morning dew, adding to clouds more clouds with his deep sighs, but also soon as the all-cheering sun should in the furthest east begin to draw the shady curtains from Aurora's bed, away from the light steals home my heavy son, and private in his chamber pens himself, shuts up his windows, locks fair daylight out, and makes himself an artificial night. Black and portentous must his humor prove, unless good counsel may the cause remove. So we have some stuff to highlight in blue. So we're going to highlight the shady curtains from Aurora's bed, away from light, makes himself an artificial night. All of that, right? We're going to highlight in blue. That's one of those famous lines. So what Montague is saying is that his son has been doing this a lot. And the reason that he's doing this is because he's depressed. He's not feeling himself. And so as soon as the sun comes up, he goes inside, he shuts up his windows, locks out the daylight, and he makes himself an artificial night. He stays inside all the time because he's depressed. Sometimes I'll have students who are like, oh, he only goes out at night and then he shuts up he's a vampire. No, Romeo's not a vampire. He is just depressed and he's not feeling himself. And we're going to find out why in just a little bit. So, my noble uncle to you knows the cause, neither know it nor can learn of him. Have you importuned him by any means? Both by myself and many other friends. But he, his own affection's counselor, is to himself, I will not say how true, but to himself so secret and so close, so far from sounding in discovery, as the bud bit with an envious worm, ere he can spread his sweet leaves to the air or dedicate his beauty to the sun. Could we but learn from whence his sorrow grows, we would as willingly give cure as no. Let's go back for just a second and let's make a comment box so that we remember what's going on. So let's just say that Benvolio, Montague, and Lady Montague all acknowledge that Romeo has been acting strange. And we don't know why, but he has been. So then Romeo comes in, right? He comes into the same town square where they're all hanging out after the fight. And Romeo sees his parents, but he doesn't come over to them yet. So Benvolio points, see where he comes? So please you step aside. I'll know his grievance or be much denied. I would thou wert so happy by thy stay to hear true shrift. Come, madam, let's away. And Montague and Lady Montague both leave. So they take off on home. So Benvolio walks over to Romeo. Good morning, cousin. Is the day so young? But noon struck 9. Ay me, sad hours seem long. Was that my father that went hence so fast? It was. What sadness lengthens Romeo's hours, not having that which having makes them short. In love, out. Of love, out of her favor where I am in love. So I'm trying to make it real dramatic, right? Romeo is real dramatic. So let's go back and let's highlight some stuff. We want to highlight in light blue. We're going to highlight right here. I, me, sad hours seem long. That's one of those famous lines of Romeo's. But I don't want to comment. I just want to mark. Here we go. All right. I'm going to mark this blue. Perfect. So Romeo now we understand is depressed because he is in love or out of love. And he wants some girl. We don't know who yet, but we'll figure that out in just a minute. But he says, out of her favor where I am in love. And he's so dramatic and he's so, oh, my heart. Oh, poor me. All right, Benvolio. Alas, that love so gentle in his view should be so tyrannous and rough in proof. Alas, that love, whose view is muffled still, should be without eyes, see pathways to his will. Where shall we dine? Oh me, what fray was here? Yet tell me not, for I have heard it all. So he sees the fight and he goes, what? What did you guys do? Because Romeo right now, not into fighting, right? He's all into loving. He says, where shall we dine? Oh me, what fray was here? Yet tell me not, for I have heard it all. Here's much to do with hate, but more with love. Why then, O brawling love, O loving hate, O anything of nothing first create, O heavy lightness, serious vanity, misshapen chaos of well-seeming forms, feather of lead, bright smoke, cold fire, sick health, still waking sleep? Is it not what it is? This love feel I that feel no love in this. Dost thou not laugh? Because Benvolio's like, what? And he says, no, cuz, I'd rather weep. Now we got to go back. And we need to text box it because we need to identify some oxymorons. I believe oxymoron was one of our literary terms, but remember, oxymoron is where you have two words that contradict each other. And so we need to look in Romeo's little lines here for at least 6 oxymorons. And so we're going to go ahead and start looking for those, right? So heavy lightness is one. So let's heavy lightness. That's one. You can't have heavy lightness. It's an oxymoron. Serious vanity. Serious vanity. Can't have serious vanity. Let's go feather of lead. You can't have one of those, even though it's more than 2 words. Feather of lead. You can't have a feather of lead. Bright smoke. Smoke is dark. You can't have bright smoke. Bright smoke. You cannot have a cold fire. Fire. And you cannot have sick health. Sick health. We're going to come back and talk about Romeo's lines later at a later date when we do a close reading. But let's go ahead and let's make a note here. And let's just say that Romeo, let's actually put this up. Yeah, let's move this up here. Right there. So Romeo doesn't like the feud. He is tired of fighting the Capulets. He is a lover, not a fighter. And Romeo could be a really good fighter. Remember, he has been training as a sword fighter. He's the second best sword fighter in Verona, but he's stopped his training because he's like, I want to love. I want to go find a woman. I want to go and be in love. So he says, dost thou not laugh? No, cuz I'd rather weep. Good heart at what? At thy good heart's oppression. Why, such is love's transgression, grief of mine own lie heavy in my breast, which thou wilt propagate to have it pressed. With more of thine, with this love that thou hast shown, doth add more grief, is too much of mine own. Love is a smoke raised with the fume of sighs, being purged, a fire sparkling in lovers' eyes, being vexed to see nourished with lovers' tears. What is it else? A madness most discreet, a choking gall and a preserving sweet. Farewell, my cuz, because he feels like Benvolio's mocking him. Soft, I will go along, and if you leave me, you do me wrong. Tut, I have lost myself. I am not here. This is not Romeo. He is some other where. So we're going to actually mark that because that's some plot lines, right? So Romeo is saying, I don't feel like myself. And we're going to do a comment box right here. So we're going to comment box. So Romeo is not himself because love has changed him. And in your text, I've told you right here, it's revealed later, right? And Shakespeare doesn't do a great job of telling us who Romeo is in love with. I'm just going to tell you now. He's in love with a girl named Rosaline. Rosaline's beautiful. She's out of Romeo's league, right? And he really wants Rosaline. He's like, I'm going to get that girl. She's going to be mine. But she is out of his league way, like big time. So, Benvolio, tell me in sadness, who is it that you love? What? Shall I groan and tell thee? No. Groan, why no, but sadly tell me who. Bid a sick man in sadness make his will. Ah, word ill urged to one that is so ill. In sadness, cousin, I do love a woman. So we're going to mark that. That's good. That's good plot stuff. He loves a woman. All right, we're making progress. I aim so near when I suppose you love. A right good mark, man. And she's fair, I love. Ah, so I do love a woman, and then we're going to mark this. And she's fair, I love. So she's pretty, real pretty. A right fair mark, fair cuz, is soonest hit. Then, this is important, right here, this line. Well, in that hit you miss. She'll not be hit with Cupid's arrow. She hath Diane's wit, and in strong proof of chastity well armed. From love's weak childish bow she lives uncharmed. She will not stay the siege of loving terms, nor bide the encounter of assailing eyes, nor ope her lap to saint-seducing gold. Oh, she is rich in beauty, only poor, that when she dies, with beauty dies her store. Okay, lots of stuff going on here. First thing we need to do is we need to underline Diane's wit, because we need to talk about that. And then I'm just going to go ahead and do the comment box off of that one, right? So Diane's wit. This is what you're going to write. Diane's wit, colon, all right? Wit, colon. This is the wisdom of Diana, goddess of chastity. So Diane's wit, she's the goddess of chastity. So what does that mean? What that means is that Rosaline has sworn that she will not have sex until she's married. That's what chastity means, right? You're saving yourself for marriage. You're not going to have sex with someone unless you are married to them. And that is what Rosaline's all about. So what does that tell us, right? So that tells us that Romeo's approach was wrong. So he went up to Rosaline. He's like, hey, baby, you look pretty good. You want to go bang? And that's the wrong way to approach this. You don't go and start. That's not your first opening salvo when you're trying to get somebody to fall in love with you, right? You need to, move up to that sort of thing, right? You need to get to know them. And he just starts off with, hey, we should totally go have sex. Then later, he talks about nor ope her lap to saint seducing gold. So this is even worse. And we're going to highlight this one in orange, right? Nor ope her lap to saint seducing gold, because this is interesting plot stuff. So we're going to make a comment off of this one too. So what this means is that Romeo first says, hey, we should go have sex. And then she says, no, I'm not going to do that. And he says, I'll pay you. Even worse. No, Romeo. So we're going to write a comment. I'm going to say, what a dog! Exclamation point. Romeo asked Rosaline to sleep with him. And then after she said no, comma, he told her that he would pay her for sex. What? Romeo, like, this is not cool. Not good. She is rich in beauty, only poor, that when she dies, with beauty dies her store. So let's put a comment here too off of this one. So what Romeo's saying is that Rosaline is so beautiful that Romeo thinks her beauty will be wasted if she doesn't have children. Got to get her pregnant as soon as possible. So he's saying, man, she is so beautiful. We have to have kids, because if we don't have kids, it's totally a waste of that beauty. Like, we need to get Rosaline pregnant as soon as we can. All right. So Benvolio, that was a lot right there. Then she hath sworn that she will still live chaste. She hath. And then that sparing makes huge waste, just like he was saying up here. For beauty starved with her severity cuts beauty off from all posterity, right? We're cutting beauty off from our children. She is too fair, too wise, wisely too fair to merit bliss by making me despair. She hath forsworn to love, and in that vow do I live dead that live to tell it now. Which, Romeo, I think is a little extreme, right? Like, you're saying, oh, I can't get with this girl, and so I might as well just die. Ugh. Romeo, there's lots of other women out there. There's lots of other fish in the sea. So Benvolio, be ruled by me, forget to think of her. Oh, teach me how I should forget to think, which is a little dramatic. Benvolio's advice, by giving liberty unto thine eyes, examine other beauties, which we're going to highlight that. That's a plot point. So he says, we're going to get you to forget about it by going out and checking out other girls, right? Romeo, 'tis the way to call hers exquisite and question more these happy masks that kiss fair ladies' brows. Being black, put us in mind, they hide the fair. He that is struck and blind cannot forget that precious treasure of his eyesight lost. Show me a mistress that is passing fair. What doth her beauty serve but as a note, where I may read who passed that passing fair? Farewell, thou canst not teach me to forget. I'll pay that doctrine or else die in debt. So that's where we leave Benvolio and Romeo. They're going to go check out other girls, and we'll pick them up in Act 1, Scene 2. So hopefully you got a lot out of this and you annotated as we went along. And we'll see you next time. Bye.